jumping just leaping when Razala she's so up in Bellingham. She did the Genjo koan, and the part where it said just leaping beyond, I think, is she wanted to feel it in her body, so she would just practice leaping all the time. Okay. You're gonna be leap. You can get up and leap anytime.
That's unlikely.
Certainly in body. Gretchen, is there any chance that you could put this in chat?
It's not in here.
Oh, you can't find it. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the problem, and
Okay.
I've sent it now twice.
Yeah. No. It's
And it's a
okay.
matter of getting
It's a matter of learning to use a new computer. It's got its own
Yeah.
mind. Anyway,
This one
we'll
is
talk about it later.
not
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay, we're just doing our best.
yes.
Yeah. So a couple of announcements is Sunday from 10 to 12:30. The Sangha all practice period tea. And please come. It'll be fun. It's always fun to be in person. Bring yummy things to eat. This Sangha never starves, that's for sure. There's a flyer up there and there's little ones here. We're starting a monthly, the Sonoma County Sanctuary Coalition, we're starting a monthly faith vigil at Courthouse Square. So the first one is the day before Thanksgiving from 5 to 6. So show up with our little candles and our good hearts, and I'm glad we're doing this. Do you get before lecture chant?
Could I just mention if they haven't RSVP'd to let me know,
Yes, thank you.
and that it is hybrid.
Yes,
Only
okay,
one person so far signed up for Zoom.
okay. Did you guys hear that? If you're, yeah, okay, great. And did we do the before lecture? I can't
I
remember.
think we did.
We did.
We can do it
Okay.
again.
We did
do it. Wow, I don't even remember that.
I'm so glad I was present for it. Well, what are you doing here?
Well, it's a good thing
You're
we're
gonna
doing
let
it.
us know. Okay,
Good thing
so.
we're doing the ground direct presence.
Oh, wow. You direct present to everyone?
Rose, can I mention one thing?
Uh-huh.
My friend sent me, when I told him I'd like to give away umbrellas, he sent me 30 of them.
Oh, my
And then he
goodness.
sent me some rain ponchos. So I brought 3 umbrellas and 4 rain ponchos. So if anybody wants to take them, and if you have it in your car and you see somebody that needs an umbrella, you just get it to them. It's really fun.
Oh, that's really.
So I have 3 umbrellas and 4 rain ponchos.
Wow, totally cool. Wonderful. Thank you. Cool. Okay, Shuso, take it away and you'll explain about the chanting and everything.
Sure.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
great. She's gonna explain everything, so don't worry about anything.
Everything, and I'll take questions after. So hi again. 2 things that come out in my talk, but I wanted to start with. One was Chris and I had a little interaction before we started to sit, where she was talking, confirming with me about the talks the next week or so and the tea, and saying something about it being a push. And I responded with kind of an edge about being pushed. And so I don't know, I felt important to say something about that actually it's been really good for me to be pushed. And in this particular way. And what came to me when I was sitting is that I'm being pushed enough that I'm starting to feel pulled.
Ooh.
Is that, it's just an image, but right. So there's like I'll just leave it at that. So that felt important to say. And then my wife Myra's on my mind. She's been gone for a week and a half now in the desert, doing her own, being pushed and pulled, and heard from her yesterday. She's doing great, and it was really nice to have that interaction. And but it reminded me this, like, oh, did we do the chant or not? And I didn't, kind of this thing about presence. And she and I have this sort of joke, not joke, when we're in our general mindless kind of states, of, I think she said something like, it's like when you're driving on the freeway and there's these signs that are like new condo developments or subdivisions, and it says, if you lived here, you'd be home by now.
Quiet group on screen. They don't tell you how they're feeling at all. That's a joke.
Yeah.
They're just thumbs counting like
They're
mad.
happy, they're happy.
And they can
I
hear
think
me,
that
okay.
was the best of the talk. So I'm so sorry.
But say that last part again, because that was really
I like
funny.
that. I'm gonna borrow it.
I was saying that my wife and I, because we're so often not present at home and just in our own worlds, and that she said something not long ago about it being like those big signs you see on the side of the freeway near a new condo or subdivision that say, if you lived here, you'd be home by now. And I don't know, people here thought it was funny. I don't know. Nobody on screen is sort of smiling. Okay. So today we are up to the sixth ground, which is the ground of direct presence. This is correlated to the perfection of wisdom, which we're familiar with, prajna paramita, also translated as the perfection of understanding. And so we're in the world of prajna paramita, which is the world of the mother of all Buddhas, the goddess, the great mother, and this is also correlated with the 12 links of conditioned arising on the sixth ground. So I'm going to start with just a little bit from Wikipedia, inspired by greater teachers than I who do the same. And it actually, interestingly, gave this some form for me. So, because in this stage, the Bodhisattva achieves a direct, unmediated realization of the fundamental nature of reality, the Dharma Dhatu. And the key characteristics of this ground include direct realization, which is the Bodhisattva directly perceiving emptiness and the independent nature of all phenomena without obstruction. And that this is a significant advancement from their prior stages, which involved more conceptual understanding and practice. I don't know if there's maybe some feel of that as we're moving into a new ground. It's also about the perfection of wisdom, as I said, prajna paramita. So the attainment of this sixth ground is often associated with the perfection of wisdom, allowing the bodhisattva to skillfully use various skillful means to guide other beings to enlightenment. There is the fearlessness and skill in means, the bodhisattva developing unobstructed eloquence and the ability to manifest in various forms to benefit all sentient beings and in the appropriate time and place, be it from any fear or conceit. And then there's non-obstruction, where the Bodhisattva experiences a state of being non-obstructed in service, able to freely perform tasks and endure difficulties, symbolically described as walking through walls as if empty space or taking any form needed to help others. It goes on to say that this ground of direct present signifies a pivotal point where the Bodhisattva's wisdom and compassion become seamlessly integrated and spontaneously expressed in the world for the benefit of all. There's another piece of it, which is the 12-link chain of causation, which is a whole Megillah, as we would say, in itself. We'll chant a little bit of that, but it's way beyond me, and I'm not even gonna kind of attempt. So as I usually do with these talks, I started with Norman Fisher. And it was interesting because in reading his chapter on the perfection of wisdom, which he describes or translates and prefers as the perfection of understanding, the more I read, the less and less comprehensible that was. And he speaks to that. And it just like I was reading and just starting to feel actually a little panicky because I've been feeling so, I was initially so relieved with this sort of wacky, mind-blowing sutra that there were these wonderful concrete perfections to talk about. And then reading this, I sort of felt like I'm running back into the arms of the Abhisamsaka Sutra, which somehow was feeling more comforting and I would say making more sense to me, but landing in a way that I could enter. So nonetheless, I'll say a little bit about what Norman Fisher says, because I think there's a lot that's interesting in it. In terms of this work on imagination that he is doing, he says that the basic thrust of the perfection of understanding is that it intuits the emptiness of all phenomenon and thus recognizes the primacy of the imagination in making the world as we find it and as it could be otherwise. And he defines understanding in also a way that did help me enter a little bit, the kind of two meanings, and I'm sure there's hundreds more, but the one maybe more traditional meaning that we think of understanding as wisdom or comprehension, discernment, but that there's also this way of understanding as standing with, being close to, being with, right? Like a person of understanding. You're giving somebody understanding. It's not generally thought of as like, well, you're explaining something, but you're giving them some consideration, some empathy. And he says that that's exactly the spirit of prajna in the Bodhisattva path. So that the perfection of understanding includes both sides of what this meaning of this word understanding is, to understand deeply how things are, meaning to understand how elusive, I think he uses the word shimmering, this life is, and at the same time, through this seeing, of the nature of reality, that brings us to this understanding that leads us to caring for life, to standing with it, and to moving toward empathy and compassion. And then he points out that we know that this realm is about love because in the Heart Sutra, where we're focusing on Prajnaparamita, that it's Avalokiteshvara who's actually speaking. And I guess in a lot of the text, it's a student, Shariputra, or another student. But this is Kuan Yin, right? This is Avalokiteshvara, the one who hears and responds to the cries of the world. The perceiver of all sounds, the personification of compassion, who is giving this teaching on emptiness. So we know we're in the realm of love. So this felt helpful, a little more accessible for me. Because what I realized for me, this practice is not really about trying to accurately comprehend anything. I think I am at a point in my life where I'm beyond thinking that things are comprehensible. But I am about learning to stand with, to be close to be connected, to be held by, and able to say yes to something, to give myself to something. There's a line in the Andrea Gibson video that I had sent that says, like, what else can I give myself to? What else can I say yes to? And then I'll read it. I flashed on this Joanna Macy's translation of the Rilke poem, Widening Circles, which I so love. I live my life in widening circles that reach out across the world. I may not complete this last one, but I give myself to it. I circle around God, around the primordial tower. I've been circling for thousands of years, and I still don't know. Am I a falcon, a storm, or a great song? And what I'm most moved by in this is that, but I give myself to it. And I think that's what I was touching on by saying, like push me until I feel pulled and I can give myself to this. It's a deep longing. We'll come back to this. Checking the time. I do want to share a couple of things from Thich Nhat Hanh. Short pieces, which I'll just read. And it'll sound familiar because the first piece we studied not that long ago with Chelsea, who was teaching us about aimlessness as one of the doors to liberation. And this feels really related to me, to this direct presence. The third door of liberation is aimlessness, apranahita. There is nothing to do, nothing to realize, no program, no agenda. This is the Buddhist teaching about eschatology. Does the rose have to do something? No. The purpose of a rose is to be a rose. Your purpose is to be yourself. You don't have to run anywhere to become someone else. You are wonderful just as you are. The teaching of the Buddha allows us to enjoy ourselves, the blue sky, and everything that is refreshing and healing in the present moment. This, he says, is the teaching of the Avatamsaka Sutra. Be yourself. Life is precious as it is. All the elements for your happiness are already here. There is no need to run, strive, search, or struggle. Just be. Just being in the moment in this place is the deepest practice of meditation. And this next piece is what he calls, and I love this in his discussion of the paramitas, there's 6 petals. I love all these, especially since we're doing this Bodhisattva Sutra, all these flower references. The 6th petal is the flower. The 6th petal of the flower is prajna paramita, the perfection of understanding. This is the highest kind of understanding, free from all knowledge, free from all concepts, ideas, and views. It is the substance of Buddhahood in us. It is the kind of understanding that has the power to carry us to the other shore of freedom, emancipation, and peace. In Mahayana Buddhism, Prajnaparamita is described as the mother of all Buddhas. Just think for a minute, like all the Buddhas that we've been encountering in this sutra, Buddhas upon Buddhas within Buddhas, is the mother of all Buddhas. Everything that is good, beautiful, and true is born from our mother, Prajnaparamita. She is in us. We only need to touch her to help her manifest herself, which I think means we only need to touch that in ourselves. Right view is Prajnaparamita. So this is, interestingly, I wouldn't say that the Avatamsaka Sutra is feeling more concrete or linear or anything like that, but I am starting to experience them as grounds. Um, I was flashing on, in some ways, I feel like this talk is really picking up from the end of my last talk. After the talk, Chris and I had a little dialogue. She had some questions that were helpful. And then she reflected to me, because I had not been feeling well, that over the course of the chanting, I was sort of, there was some vitality entering me and I was coming alive in a way. She was asking me if that was my experience, what she was observing and what it felt like, this feeling of being opened and connected and enlivened. And so I really pondered that and I thought, well, that's what I'm after. That is not understanding in this sort of narrower sense of comprehending something that gets me tangled, but of feeling connected and feeling held. That's what I want to be pulled toward, is this feeling of being held, of being, the word home keeps coming up. And I know this to be true because there's emotion attached to that when I say that this is a deep, deep longing. I think as old as my conscious life. I don't know for how many, sometimes I think, we come out into this world, our first experience is really, it's just a complete connection. We don't know we're separate beings. We're not separate beings. And the sort of harsh reality of coming out and over time the developmental stages or seem to be like it's this positive thing, which it is, to sort of separate and individuate and not need attachment, which is so absurd because we never stop needing to be attached. But I had this sense now that ever since I have come out, I have longed to be back in that experience of union and of oneness, knowing that I'm not separate and alone. Deanne, who we know from Sangha, we were talking the other day and about this. I was sharing to her the sense of home feels like this sort of theme of an important piece for me. And she quoted for me these lines from actually Hermann Hesse, who wrote Siddhartha. But this is from Steppenwolf. And he wrote, "We have no one to guide us. Our only guide is our homesickness." Just pierced me. It felt so true. Make sure we leave time for chanting. So surprising to myself, I have a lot more to say. I was saying earlier that I was struggling with this talk because I felt like I had already said everything I had to say. But I think I'll just end this piece with a poem that I think speaks to this. And then we'll chant. So this poem is called The Message by Julia Fehrenbacher. The message. It has never been out there, that thing you've been looking for. And it turns out you never had to look. It would be like looking for your own eyes, your own toes, your own breath, like a peony searching for its own petals, like a wave chasing after the ocean. It has always been tucked in the seams of your insides, winking, watching, waiting. No, not waiting, resting, trusting. No, not trusting, knowing. Knowing that the clouds have never been separate from the sky. That you, precious peony, have always been the waves in the ocean, the clouds in the sky, and that you can't help but one day arrive. So what to do about chanting? I was actually going to regale you with a little bit so you could just receive, and then thinking we would chant. I'm thinking that maybe the folks on screen will just receive my words, not my words, my reading of the words, and then all of our chanting. That seem okay?
So it sounds like maybe you're gonna do what we did on Tuesday is there'll be part that you'll just read that will be easier for them to probably hear. And then there'll be sections where you'll say all, and when we say all, you'll just get to enter the ocean.
No,
No, that's,
a little bit like
okay,
that.
so
I'm just going to start by reading a section just for you all that introduces, that gets us there, and then we're going to all chant together. It felt too advanced for me to do
okay.
what we did the other day. So
apologies that we can't share.
Yeah, it's, we have a new computer and it's not linking up in the way that it needs to, but I'm hoping rather than feeling kind of left out of something that you can just enjoy. I know I've been listening to Norman Fisher and others chant this, and it's just food. So, so the sixth ground, the ground of direct presence. This is from the introductory verses and the Dharma request. This happens in each chapter. Having heard this teaching of supreme practices, the Bodhisattva's minds were filled with joy. They rained down marvelous blossoms, emanated pure light, sprinkled down precious jewels as offerings to the Tathagata, and praised their excellent discourse. 100,000 assembled devas full of celebratory delight at once scattered down from space the many jewels as offerings, together with floral garlands, strands of pearls, banners, jeweled canopies, and perfumes, all offered there to the Buddha. Countless celestial nymphs residing above in space together made offerings of music and song and praise of the Buddha, wherein one heard amidst their voicings such words as these: the Buddha's discourse can expel the disease of afflictions. The nature of dharmas is originally quiescent, devoid of all signs, and like empty space in that one makes no discrimination therein. It transcends all attachments, reaches beyond the path of words, and is genuine, uniquely equal, uniformly equal, and eternally pure. If one can completely comprehend the nature of dharmas, their mind is unmoved by what exists or by what does not exist, as they cultivate diligently to rescue the inhabitants of the world. This is a true child of the Buddha, born from the Buddha's mouth. They do not seize on the various marks in their practice of giving, fundamentally cut off all evil, and solidly uphold the precepts. Knowing the Dharma, they are free of harming and always patient. Knowing Dharmas by nature transcendent, they are perfect in vigor. Having ended the afflictions, they enter the dhyanas, and in making distinctions about dharmas, know well they are devoid of a nature. Replete in wisdom power, they are able to extensively rescue beings, and being rid of many evils, they gain renown as a great eminence. Having used such marvelous voices of 1,000 myriad sorts in offering praises, they then fell silent and gazed upon the Buddha. Liberation Moon then set forth the request to Vajragarbha, through which practice attributes does one enter the next ground. Vajragarbha commences the sixth ground's explanation. Vajragarbha Bodhisattva then informed Liberation Moon Bodhisattva, saying, and now we'll all chant together, the 10 dharmas of identity enabling access to the sixth ground. O children of the Buddha, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, who has already completely fulfilled the fifth ground's practices and then aspires to enter the sixth ground, the ground of direct presence, should then take up the contemplation of 10 dharmas of identity. What then are those 10? As follows: all dharmas are the same due to their signlessness, are the same due to their non-substantiality, are the same due to their being unproduced, are the same due to their being unborn, are the same due to their original purity, are the same due to their being beyond frivolous intellectual ideation, are the same due to their being beyond either grasping or relinquishing, are the same due to their quiescence, are the same due to their being like conjured illusion,
like a dream,
like shadow, like an echo, like the moon reflected on water, like an image in a mirror, like a mirage, and like a magical transformation, and are the same due to the non-duality of their existence and non-existence. Sixth ground entry, acquiescent patience and primacy of compassion. The Bodhisattva who contemplates all dharmas in this way realizes their nature is pure, and practices in a manner that is consistent with this, and that is free from anything that contradicts this. Therefore, I succeed in entering the sixth ground, this ground of direct presence, and acquire the acquiescent presence characterized by clarity and acuity. Even so, they have not yet reached the realization of the unproduced Dharma station. Child of the Buddha, once this Bodhisattva Mahasattva has come to contemplate in this manner, they then additionally take greater compassion as what is foremost, the great compassion as what is to be made prominent, and the great compassion as what is to be brought to complete fulfillment. I think we're going to skip down to the Bodhisattva's acquisition of the three gates to liberation. And the next page. The heading is the Bodhisattva's acquisition of the three gates to liberation. Page 3. Child of the Bodhisattva, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva contemplates everything within the realm of conditioned arising in accordance with these ten. Thus they realize that there is no self, no person, no lifespan, and there is an absence of any inherently existent nature, and that there is also no agent of actions for anyone who undergoes experiences. They then immediately acquire the direct manifestation of the emptiness gate to liberation. They contemplate all of the factors associated with becoming as having the nature of cessation, as ultimately synonymous with liberation, and as not having even the smallest Dharma characteristic that they produce. They then immediately acquire the direct manifestation of the signlessness gate to liberation. Having thus gained entry into both emptiness and signlessness, they then become freely free of anything at all that they seek, with the sole exception of taking the great compassion as foremost in the transformative teaching of beings. They then immediately acquire the direct manifestation of the wishlessness gates of liberation. Thus it is that their cultivation, the three gates to liberation, Bodhisattva abandons conceptions of the existence of either others or self, abandons conceptions of either any agent of actions or anyone who undergoes experiences, and abandons the conceptions of anything as either existent or non-existent. The Bodhisattva's 10 types of resolute intentions. Child of the Buddha, the Bodhisattva who dwells on this ground of direct presence also cultivates and completely perfects the indescribable resolute intention, the definitely certain resolute intention, the resolute intention of pure goodness, the especially profound resolute intention, the non-retreating resolute intention, the unrelenting resolute intention, the vast resolute intention, the boundless resolute intention, the knowledge-seeking resolute intention, and the resolute intention joining skillful means and wisdom. In every case, they bring all of these to the state of perfect fulfillment. I have a couple of bells.
Here's the bill. Okay.